When you are dealing with numbers, oftentimes you have to actually convert something from a percent to a decimal, or decimal to a percent. And my little chart over there by Brandy breaks that down. If you ever want to go over there and take a photograph of it, that's fine. Or if you just want to look at it, I have all the maneuvering that you need in order to convert from one thing to another. But according to the book, in the middle of the page below the hippopotamus pictures, it says to convert a decimal to a percent, move the decimal point 2 places to the right, and then add the symbol. Okay? So move the decimal 2 places right and add the symbol. Okay? So let's say I've got something like this. I'm going to use this one for a specific reason. Move my decimal 2 positions to the right, which places it here, and then add the symbol. Okay, you could write this, obviously this is 16 and a half. You could also write it that way. Unless you are told differently, I don't care. Unless somewhere in the book it says no decimals, I don't care. But for the most part, these two things are going to be acceptable. Just recognize that this indeed is the same thing as that. All right? Maybe I have 0.012. Okay? Moving my decimal 2 positions to the right is 1.2. Therefore, I have 1.2%, or 1 2/10, which is 1 1/5, right? Okay. My friend the hippo, the African hippo, the pygmy, is the smallest species. A normal adult hippo weighs 5,600 pounds, and the adult is only 10.5% of that weight. Okay? How much does the adult pygmy weigh? So we're going to go ahead and solve that in example 4 when we get to it. But between now and then, we're going to practice a little bit. Okay? We're going to practice a little bit. And I want to give you one more example. Okay? Move the decimal 2 positions to the right. Yes, don't second guess yourself. Okay? If there's a number in the ones position, you're already over 100%. Okay? And these kind of numbers do happen. Like, let's say 6 people, and I'm going to round here, 6 people came to KTA that were new students this year. So 6 this year. Next year, in the following year, we had a total of 36 new enrollees. Okay? This, in relationship to this is a 6-fold increase. 6-fold meaning 6 times what we started with. Okay? 6 times what we started with is 600%. Okay? So don't ever think that these kind of things don't happen. Okay? They do happen. All right. So, example 1. Here we go. A couple of little quick ones. So if I give you 0.62, you're going to move your decimal over 2 spots, just like they showed you. Place your decimal there, and you don't even need to write it, but there it is. Okay, B. This is very similar to that third one I gave you. 1. Move the decimal over 2 positions. In this case, you're going to have to plug in a placeholder of zeros. What does that give you? 100%. Okay? Last one, letter C. 2 3/10. Move the decimal over 2 positions, plug in a placeholder, and yes, 230%. We talk about prices, how they increase if they double or if they triple. That's the same way as that's percents in action. Okay, in contrast, in reverse, the reverse of this, when you are dealing with a percent and going backwards to a decimal, you simply take the decimal where it sits and move it left 2 spots. Okay, move it left 2 spots. So a couple of real quick ones before I do their examples. So let's just say I have 63%, or maybe I have 1/10 of 1%. This isn't 10%, folks. I've placed a percentage sign next to it, which means it's 1/10 of 1%, or maybe 150%, right? You need to give 150% effort every day. Okay, take the decimal, move it left 2 positions. Okay, the decimal is here and here if it is not written. Okay, moving it left 2 positions, 0.63 is your decimal equivalent. Moving it left 2 positions, 0.001, right? 1, 2. Okay, had to place some zeros. Okay, and 150, 1.5. Everybody seeing my samples? So the book samples they give us, we've got A. So 75%, take the decimal, move it 2 positions to the left, and you end up with 0.75. Okay? For letter B, just to be safe, for letter B, you're going to have 0.4%. That means you have to move your decimal 2 positions back, right? Here's where the 4 was. The new number looks like that. Lastly, letter C, 168%. Your decimal that you don't see here and here, they're there, you just didn't write them because you wouldn't. 1.68. Okay? How are you guys feeling about all this? Okay, wonderful. Example 3, I'm moving on. If you are given a fraction such as 3/8 or 5/3, can you convert it to a percent? Absolutely. Okay, since we're using calculators, we can easily take 3 and divide it by 8, and you get a decimal of 0.375. Okay? So I'm going to write 0.375. To convert a decimal to a percent, you move the decimal to the right 2 positions. So you should have 37.5%. Okay, does everybody see how I came up with that? Okay, 5 divided by 3. Yes, it's going to be 1 point something. Yesterday I shared with Brandy that 66 repeating, 66666, that's the same thing as saying 2/3. Whereas 33333 repeating is the same thing as saying 1/3. Okay, those are 2 handy repeaters that you could use. So this here becomes 1 and 66. We're obviously repeating, right? Which would be equivalent to, move it over, 166 and 2/3%, because remember, it was repeating. I didn't necessarily write that correctly, but it's repeating, which means 1.666666. So even after I moved it, there were still 6 sixes after that. Okay? That's example 3. How about we do numbers 10 and 11 together? Let's do checkpoint 10. Checkpoint 10 has us converting 5/12 to a percent. 5 divided by 12 will give you your decimal. Oh look, 416 with a repeater over the 6. Okay? Move it over 2 positions, and you should have 41, and we're going to go with 2/3% because 6 repeating is 2/3. If you write it 41.6 with a repeater over it, that's technically true as well. Okay? That's true as well. Checkpoint number 11. Okay? We are faced with 11/6. 11 divided by 6 will give us our decimal. 1.83333. Okay. 1.83 with a repeater. Okay. Move it over 2 positions. So now I have 183 and 3 with a repeater percent. Or I would write 183 and 1/3%. Okay? That's just the way I've always done it. I've just done it fractionally. So, our pygmy hippopotamus from the previous page. The pygmy hippopotamus is 10.5% of the big hippopotamus. Okay? 10.5% of the big hippo. So if you are given a question like this, when you are told to find 10.5% of a number, you need to convert this to a decimal, move it back, 0.105. Of means multiply, 5,600 pounds. What'd you get? 588. Yep, 588, absolutely. Now, I can realize that I'm reasonable because if I took 10%, it's like taking a 0 off. So if the pygmy only weighed 10%, he's 560. Okay? But since he's 10.5%, a little bit more, 588 pounds is a very reasonable amount to take. Okay? Incidentally, our pygmy hippos weigh 8 pounds at birth. How many times heavier than a newborn is the adult? Any idea how I would figure it out? If he's 8 when he's a newborn, which is about the average weight of most humans, a little less maybe, how would I find out how many times he increased? Go ahead. Exactly right. What'd you get? 73.5. Okay, so 73.5 times increase from his baby weight. That's a big boy. All right. How about number 17 in the checkpoint? Okay, number 17. 17 says this. In a survey of 1,100 adults, 2% chose cooking as their favorite leisure activity. How many adults chose cooking? So what do I need to do to uncover that information? I need to find out what 2% of the surveyed group, 1,100. Okay? How do I convert 2 to a decimal? How many positions? Left. 0.02 times 1,100. What'd you guys get, calculators? 22 adults. The other 98% would say, I like to eat. In any case, 22 adults would choose cooking based on this survey.